At welcome sa inyong paboritong health program kung saan ang health tips ay laging fresh, fun at fit for your lifestyle. Dito tatalakayin natin ang mga easy-to-follow advice para sa katawan at isip, tamang pagkain at mga paraan para maging active araw-araw. Kaya sama-sama nating alagaan ang kalusugan para sa mas masigla at masayang buhay dito lang sa Health at Home. Paano nga ba tinutulungan ng IVF or in vitro fertilization ang mga mag-asawang gustong magkaanak? Alamin mamaya sa Lifeline. Tips para alagaan at protektahan ang ating furry friends laban sa Leptospirosis. Mamaya sa Power Pause. All you need is love. Silipin kung paano gawin ang simple yet social na olive oil and balsamic bread dip mamaya sa Healthy Bites. Quick moves, big impact. Simpleng home exercises para sa mga busy pero gustong maging fit. Alamin mamaya sa Fit Zone. Japan Feels Food Park Spot para sa chill family bonding. Tuklasin mamaya sa #FamBam. Sa panahon ngayon, napakaraming mag-asawa ang nangangarap magkaroon ng sarili nilang anak. Ngunit sa iba, sa kanila, hindi ganun kadali. Pero sa kabutihang palad, may mga makabagong paraan na maaaring makatulong sa mga nangangarap magkaanak. At isa nga rito ang tinatawag na in vitro fertilization o IVF. At para ipaliwanag ito ng mas mabuti, makakasama po natin ngayon ang Medical Director ng Fertility Philippines na si Dr. Mark McKelvey. Good morning, Dr. Mark.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Wow, welcome to Health at Home.
Thank you.
For those who are not familiar, let's ask Dr. Mark. We've been hearing IVF for a long time now, but of course, we want to hear it from the experts. What exactly is IVF, and why do some people have to turn to this option?
Well, IVF stands for in vitro fertilization, and it's one of the assisted reproductive technologies that's available. So essentially, it's a treatment for anybody who might be struggling to conceive a baby. So that might be couples with low fertility or infertility, but it might be individuals, it might be single people, it might be LGBT couples as well that are looking for a child. So anybody that requires that service, IVF is for them.
Yeah. So can you walk us through the IVF journey? What does a typical process look like? And when is this the last resort? Of course, you want everything to be normal at first.
Of course, no one ever wants to do IVF, unless they can avoid it. But essentially, the key thing at the end of the day is to make a baby, you need embryos. And embryos come from the egg and the sperm fertilizing the egg. So whilst each of the individual couples might have a slightly different path, at the end of the day, we need to get eggs from the lady, we need to fertilize with sperm. That process uses hormones to stimulate the follicles in the ovaries, so we get as many eggs as we can at the egg retrieval procedure.
So how do you do that egg retrieval procedure? So we often hear that, naririnig po natin, kinukuha yung eggs.
Exactly. So
Nung babae, of course, yes.
Yeah, so after a period of stimulation, which might take about 2 weeks of injections, to stimulate the ovaries.
Oh, where is the injection?
Oh, just into the belly, not too painful.
Every day?
Every day, yes.
How many times a day?
Potentially twice, maybe even 3 times a day.
A day, okay.
A day.
For 2 weeks?
For 2 weeks, for up to 2 weeks. And at the end of that, that's when we do the egg pickup procedure. So that is a procedure done in the OR under anesthesia. It's a short procedure, maybe it will only take 10 to 20 minutes. But then a very tiny needle is inserted into the ovaries under ultrasound guidance, and we aspirate, we suck out the fluid from the follicles, and we hope there's an egg in each one. Then we have the eggs. And at that point, that's when we need to fertilize the eggs with the sperm, and then we hope, fingers crossed, that they then grow into embryos. Then you've got the embryos, and then at a later stage, you'll transfer those embryos back into the uterus.
Okay, so, all right, so yung babae will still carry the child, but it's just done outside the, when you talk about reproductive, the reproductive process.
Yes.
But especially in science, you know that the egg and the sperm have to meet in order to create something. So, eto ginagawa sa labas.
Yes, we're doing that artificially. That's why the original descriptions were the test tube baby. Okay, so we were doing that, not quite in a test tube, but the same sort of situation.
Test tube, yeah, because that word became a byword back in the, 80s?
Yes, absolutely. It's 1978 was when IVF was first pioneered.
1978?
Back in the UK, in fact. Yes.
Okay, so it's been being done for a long time.
Well, I think if you compare it to other medical specialties, it's the newest by far. And there's always new technology coming out in IVF all the time. So it's a very rapidly expanding.
So when you harvest the eggs, for example, how many eggs do you need to harvest as their minimum in order for it to, work?
That's a very good question, and that forms the central part of most of my consultations because there's always loss at every stage. So you want to start off with the maximum number of eggs as possible because not all of the follicles will contain an egg. So even at the egg pickup, if you have 10 follicles, I might only be able to get 7 or 8 eggs. When you fertilize those eggs, not all of them are going to develop into embryos. And then if you go on to test the embryos for genetic problems, not all of them are going to be healthy. So the ideal situation is that you start off with as many eggs at the start because you know you're only going to have a small number of embryos at the end of that process. And that can be difficult, especially as ladies get older and their ovarian reserve goes down. In other words, the number of their eggs reduces.
Yes.
You're starting off at a smaller and smaller number, so it can get more and more difficult.
So the probability of you creating that embryo is, smaller and smaller. This is my next question. We often hear that age is a big factor in fertility. So as you're saying, the age does really affect the process.
Age is by far the biggest factor in IVF, and that is a reflection of the ovaries and how many eggs they have left. So biology and nature is, I always think, is a little more harsh to ladies compared to men. Women are born with a fixed number of eggs. They never make any more. So when you're born...
Even after a certain, when you get menopause, is that the...
That's when you run out of eggs.
You run out of eggs.
Yes, so the ovaries are out of eggs. So what happens is you are born with about 1 to 2 million eggs as a baby. By the time you hit puberty, around the age of 10, 11, 12, you're down to 400,000 already. And by the time you get into your early 40s, you might have as little as 1,000 eggs. So it just shows you lose those eggs over time, a huge number. And that particular drop happens at the age of 37. That's why naturally in the population, fertility declines very rapidly after the age of 37 because you're running out of eggs. And the eggs that you have are 37, 38 years old, so of much lower quality compared to someone who might be in their 20s.
Right.
So that is the reason why age is by far the biggest factor. Egg freezing is important because if you're not ready to have a child or you're not in a position to have a child, if you freeze your eggs age 30, they're going to be frozen in a healthy state. And you can thaw them years on and they'll still be 30 years old. Whereas if you leave it towards the end of your 30s, those eggs that you retrieve at that point are going to be of lower quality. So if you know you're not in a position to have
Let's say you're not married yet, you don't have a boyfriend, and then in your planning and you're already in your, let's say, 30, you're 35.
Absolutely, yes, or you're a career woman. Maybe you want to pursue a career and it's not the right time for a family. Better to freeze the eggs earlier because when you're then in a position to
when you're
have
ready
a family,
to have a family, that's when, and usually now it gets, they're older now. So I wouldn't say that, when you say lower quality, it does affect, hits us a bit, but there are success stories.
Absolutely.
Yes.
When I say quality, I'm not saying in terms of health of the baby. What I'm saying is the potential for that to develop into a healthy embryo that will then implant to become a successful pregnancy. The you're absolutely right. There are lots of ladies who naturally can, become pregnant and give birth well into their 40s and beyond. So
yeah,
it's
but
not
of
unusual.
course, ideally, but I have to admit, when I was 14 and I had my youngest, it was hard. It was difficult. Like, I told myself, this is it. You know, of course, mas gusto mo, when you're younger and, you know, you're more healthy and, you know, stronger.
Yes.
Yeah, but so this option, can you give us some success stories that you've done? Maybe, you know, tell us a story about somebody that you had a patient who had IVF?
Yes, I mean, we get patients from all walks of life looking for a baby they come from all sorts of backgrounds. I think one that particularly sticks in my mind was a lady who was 51.
Wow.
Who had never been pregnant before. And she'd got to a point in her life where she really wanted a child. Now, with her, she went through the process of IVF, and it was a success. And not only was it a success, she's now carrying twins.
Wow.
We implanted one embryo, so this embryo has split in the womb, and so they'll be identical twins.
So she's currently pregnant?
She is, and she must be about 5 or 6 months down the line now. So she's doing very, very well. This is, I would say, this is a more extreme example. It's just one that sticks in my mind. So IVF is not something that's guaranteed. You can't guarantee.
Hindi siya 100%.
Exactly, absolutely. But we do our very best for them, and there's a fantastic team that is there to support them along their journey.
So what are the chances, like, that it will be successful?
Oh, that's a very good question. I can't give specific numbers on that, because what you've got to remember is those that are coming to the clinic themselves have lower fertility in the first place.
That's why they're there.
Exactly.
Right.
On average, worldwide as well, actually, the success rate with IVF is about 30%. But what it means is actually...
So it's minor, it's very small.
It's small.
So there's 70% that's unsuccessful. I mean, when you speak about world, statistics.
Yes, it's about 25 to 30% success rate.
Okay.
But in general, if everything is okay, the embryo quality is good, the uterus looks good, there are no diseases in the pelvis, that sort of thing, then most, 80%, will be pregnant by the third transfer. So it's important to give them a little bit of hope and support them, because of course it's a real disappointment when you don't get a pregnancy. But you've just got to support them and say, listen, these are the statistics, and most will hopefully get pregnant by the third attempt.
All right. So what are the advances now in IVF have you seen recently that give you hope to patients that would raise that percentage?
Yeah, that's a very good question. IVF started off in 1978. Actually, it was pioneered at my old university in Cambridge in the UK, and since then has rapidly gone through multiple generations. And the latest one now is what we call fourth generation IVF, and this is tackling the problem associated with the older age. It's a horrible term, but it's called advanced maternal age. I don't like using that term, but anyone over the age of 37, because the quality, the age of the egg is over 37, and this is the biggest barrier to fertility. So what the fourth generation technology does, something called pronuclear transfer, is it takes, I'll try and keep this as simple as possible, but let's, for example, say we have the eggs and the sperm and we fertilize them together. The chance of that developing into an embryo and going on to pregnancy is very small when you get above the age of 40. Probably less than 5% potentially.
Really?
Maybe less than 1%.
Okay.
But what you do with the fourth generation technology is you transfer the DNA from that. So half mum, half dad, of course. But you take the DNA out and you place it into a younger, rejuvenated egg. An egg that has been provided from someone in their 20s, for example. So
what do you mean? So it's a different egg?
It is a different
Not the egg of the mother.
Correct. But all of the important genetic material is still the mother and the father's.
Oh, Okay.
We remove that from the provided egg and we transfer the nucleus. So what you have now is the nucleus that contains mum and dad's DNA. 50-50.
Yeah.
But the shell, the vehicle,
is a younger
egg. And this can
wow.
increase the chance of pregnancy up to 60 or 70%.
And lastly, for couples who might be unsure if they need help, when is the right time to consider seeing a fertility specialist, doctor?
That's a good question. The majority of couples will get pregnant within a year.
Okay.
Normally. And of those that don't, the remaining half of the remaining group will get pregnant within 2 years.
Okay.
But, of course, we've got to think if advanced maternal age is playing a factor, or if you've had previous problems with your uterus, your ovaries, maybe you have endometriosis, or you've had surgery in the past, because these can directly affect fertility. If you're in that situation, it's much better to see us earlier, because remember, as time goes on, fertility declines. So we're more likely to have success at an earlier stage. So we'd much rather see you at an earlier stage and see if there's anything that we can do to help at that point, rather than leaving it too late.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark McKelvey, for sharing your time and expertise with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Up next sa Power Pause, paano nga ba nakakaapekto ang leptospirosis sa ating mga alagang hayop? Alamin yan sa pagbabalik ng programang numero 1 ang kalusugan ng pamilyang Pilipino, Health at Home.
Hatid sa inyo ang inspiring stories and exciting adventures sa mundo ng sports. Tunghayan ang naging papel ng sports sa personal at professional na buhay ng ating atletang Pinoy. Live better! New at fun activities naman ang ating susubukan na perfect for beginners at thrill seekers. Sports Trip with teammates Mix Siozon and Sheila Salaysay. PTV Sports Weekend. Sabado, alas 4:30 ng hapon, dito lang sa PTV. Tara, lumikha! Kids, alam nyo ba na ang July ang National Nutrition Month? Kaya naman iba't ibang fun and healthy art projects ang aming iyahain. Check out this DIY NutriPlay. Matututuhan nating gumuhit ng ating paboritong gulay at prutas sa Let's Grow It. At mamangha sa magic ng bubble wrap art. Sining ang magniningning dito sa
Artsy Craftsy!
Artsy Craftsy. Sabado, alas 10:30 ng umaga. Dito lang sa inyong People's Television.
Sa episode natin ngayon, tatalakayin natin ang isang sakit na maaaring makaapekto sa ating mga alagang hayop. Ito ay ang Leptospirosis. Isa itong sakit na dala ng bakterya na maaaring magdulot ng malubhang karamdaman, hindi lang sa hayop kundi pati na rin sa tao. Upang mas maintindihan natin kung ano nga ba ang Leptospirosis at paano ito nakukuha ng mga hayop, paano natin ito maiiwasan, panoorin natin yan dito sa Power Pause.
So, ang leptospirosis ay isang bacterial infection. So, family siya ng mga itsura ng bacteria na tinatawag na spirochetes. So, spiral and elongated yung itsura ng bacteria. It is common not only for domestic animals, hindi lang to sa dogs, sa cats, pero lahat din ng mga mammals, marsupials, small mammals ay nai-infect din ito, pati yung ating mga wildlife na species. So, in general, maraming animals ang pwedeng ma-affect nitong leptospirosis. At isa rin siyang significant disease not only for the veterinary side of the medicine but also for us humans. So pati tayong mga tao ay pwedeng ma-infect at mahawahan ng sakit na ito. usually, natatransmit siya from another species to another species or between two animals through urine. So, doon kasi sinished yung bacteria. So, kaya siya dumadami sa environment. So, paano? If there's cuts or breaks sa skin, pag may scrapes sa skin, kahit as simple as there's an inflammation sa skin, as long as the barrier, the skin, is broken or nagkaroon ng space for the bacteria to penetrate, kahit sa mucous membranes, kahit sa eyes, sa mouth, so pwedeng pumasok itong bacteria. So paano? Example, there's an infected dog that is walking around at umihi siya doon sa paligid. And then here comes another healthy dog at naapakan or nadilaan or uminom siya doon sa puddle ng water kung saan umihi yung isang infected animal, pwede na siyang mahawahan ng leptospirosis. So the clinical signs is very broad. No, it's very generic. So you can see clinical signs na vomiting, fever, at abdominal pain. There are some advanced stages or chronic phase ng disease wherein nagkakaroon na ng distinct. So yun na yung meron ng uveitis, yung mata noong aso, pwedeng nagiging parang cloudy o parang nagkakaroon ng inflammation doon sa mata niya. Yung iba naman nagkakaroon ng lung lesions. Ibig sabihin, umuubo, grabe na yung coughing, and sometimes it may lead to pneumonia. Some clinical signs pwede nang makita sa skin. Nagkakaroon ng petechial hemorrhages or maliliit na parang nasisira yung blood vessels doon sa skin ng animals nila at parang nagkakapasa-pasa. So those are some of the clinical signs. Worst, kapag chronic na yung disease doon sa animal, nakikita na upfront na naninilaw or icteric or jaundiced yung inyong animal. You can name a lot of diseases with the clinical signs na pinapresent ng leptospirosis. Definitely yes. Number one, we need to get thorough history. Siyempre yung exposure ng animal, no? Lalo na ngayon, ito napapanahon talaga na disease because it's raining. So a lot of puddles of waters nandyan present siya. Yung mga, usually this spirochetes, itong leptospirosis na species, present siya sa stagnant, slow-moving na water. So nandyan siya talaga sa mga kanal, puddles of water, kung may lubak sa kalsada na ihian doon, so pwedeng nandoon yung bacteria. So paano natin siya dinadiagnose? When the patient comes into the clinic, thorough history, exposure, recent travel, those are factors. Also, pwede rin na tanungin kung nagkaroon ba siya na exposure to rural areas, sa probinsya, farm animals, pwede din. Kasi these animals can also harbor the bacteria at pwedeng mahawa yung ating domesticated animals such as your dogs, your cats. But it's very rare in cats. They may para harbor the bacteria and secrete it in their urine, but it's very rare that they get sick. Unlike sa dogs na when it's the dog that is infected, usually the clinical signs up front nagpapakita na yan siya. So recent exposure to travel or environment where there are puddles of water, slow-moving or stagnant water can pose risks sa ating mga patients such as your dogs and your cats. No? However, yung mga cats natin, they shed the bacteria. Yun nga lang, very rare that they get infected or sick from the leptospirosis na species. However, our dogs on the contrary naman, sila yung mas at risk or sila yung mas nagpapakita ng clinical signs. So on top of the clinical sign na meron siyang fever or may vomiting, may abdominal pain, worse yung naninilaw na or icterus or jaundice na yung pet. So when we do the blood tests, CBC, yung complete blood count, o kaya chemistry, we see that the kidneys are already damaged or meron ng acute injury doon sa kidneys. Or worse, sometimes yung liver. The liver already is insufficient, nagkakaroon na ng hepatic insufficiency, tumataas na yung mga ALP, and then yun yung liver profile na test. So pwede natin yun gawin sa ating pasyente. Ano pa? So these days, meron na tayong PCR. So yun yung gold standard. However, sometimes it takes time kasi hindi naman lahat ng veterinary clinics has the machine. So sometimes, we resort to doing the test kit. So yun, meron na tayong mga antibody test kits. So dapat kapag na-diagnose ito, kailangan may thorough history, meron kang tests, yung complete blood test, the kidney test, and then the clinical signs. All of this ay kailangan nandun present sa patient for us to tell and diagnose na meron siyang leptospirosis. Prevention is better, especially for these kinds of diseases na it attacks the kidneys. And may staging kasi siya eh. Hindi lang siya basta acute or biglaan within 3 to 5 days, pero there's a per-acute na phase ng disease kung saan within a day or two from the 7 days na nag-i-incubate or nagkaroon siya ng exposure doon sa bacteria, ay magpapakita na to ng clinical sign agad. And sometimes, pagka hindi maganda yung resistensya or immunocompromised yung patient, yung ating alagang aso, especially the dogs, no? So, kapag hindi maganda yung resistensya niya, agad-agad nagpapakita to ng symptoms. And sometimes, in just a span of 2 to 5 days, malala na kaagad yung sakit na or yung clinical sign na pinapakita ng ating pasyente. But the good news is, we already have vaccination for it. So, it is a preventable disease. So, when we vaccinate our dogs against leptospirosis, hindi lang naman yung ating mga animals ang napoprotektahan. So now we have what we call One Health. Pati tayo ng mga tao ay napoprotektahan basta ang ating aso ay bakunado. So when the puppy is as early as 8 weeks or 2 months old, pwede na tayo magbakuna against leptospirosis. No? So there are a lot of serovars na present na significant na nagkakaroon ng sakit yung mga animals. So, pero yung mga vaccines na present ngayon, it covers for the 4 serovars ng leptospirosis. Yung Icterohemorrhagiae, Canicola, Pomona, and Gripotyphosa. So, meron na yan lahat sa vaccinations na present sa inyong mga veterinary clinics. Once the person, the human, has contact with that infected urine. Kaya nga 'di ba sa ganitong panahon na tag-ulan, na binabaha, 'di ba sinasabihan din ang publiko, tayong mga tao, na mag-iingat na sumuong dito sa mga puddles of water or contaminated water. Kasi maging tayo sa ating paa, kung may sugat tayo sa skin, ay pwede tayong mahawahan. Hindi necessary na mainom natin. Pero it can also come into the mucus ng mata, sa bibig, sa ilong, at saka mga sugat sa ating balat. So, pati tayo ay pwede rin na mahawahan. So, paano natin ito maiiwasan? So, it's just basic, no? Proper hygiene. So, you have to wash your hands, wash your feet kung nagkaroon ka na exposure sa baha, sa maduming tubig, lalo na ngayong tag-ulan. If you have a pet that is already suffering from the disease, then you have to wear gloves, no? So, kung umihi siya, then you have to quickly clean the urine and then disinfect the area. And definitely, you have to bring your pet to the veterinarian para nang sa ganon, nabibigyan na to ng antibiotics at ng lunas or ng mga gamot para gumaling na kaagad yung ating pasyente. So, ang leptospirosis ay napaka-significant na disease, hindi lamang sa ating mga pasyente na aso at pusa or animals in general. However, pati sa atin ng mga tao, ito ay pwede tayong mahawahan at magkaroon tayo ng sakit na ito. Ang leptospirosis ay isang malalang sakit dahil inaatake nito ang kidneys at liver, which are vital organs of the body, not only for humans but also for the animals. So para maiwasan na magkaroon ng inyong mga pets ng sakit na ito, magpabakuna. No? Prevention is better than cure. So once na vaccinated ang inyong pets, less na yung worry nyo, rest assured kayo na meron siyang magiging immunity pag na-encounter niya o nagkaroon siya ng bacterial infection na ito.
Mamaya naman sa Healthy Bites, isang yummy and healthy bread dip na gawa sa olive oil and balsamic vinegar ang matitikman natin sa pagbabalik yan ng programang number 1 ang kalusugan ng pamilyang Pilipino, Health at Home.
Binuksan na natin sa publiko ang mahigit 20 bagong urgent care and ambulatory service o mga bukas centers sa iba't ibang lugar sa bansa. Intended to decongest public hospitals, these centers shall provide competent ambulatory care, most especially to the poor and to the disadvantaged, for health conditions that do not require hospital admission. Bilang tugon sa dumaraming insidente at tumataas na presyo ng pagpagamot, itinaas na ng PhilHealth ng mahigit doble ang mga benepisyo para sa mga malulubhang karamdaman. Tuloy-tuloy ang ating paghahabol sa pagbabakuna ng mga sanggol at ang mga bata. Naglaan po tayo ng mas mataas na pondo para sa ating Medical Assistance Program. Kaya higit na mas marami pang mga Pilipino ang matutulungan nito ngayong taon.
Check out your dream machines with veteran journalist Ron De Los Reyes in one of the longest running motoring shows on Philippine television. Auto Review, only here on PTV.
Sawa ka na ba sa ordinary bread dip at gusto mo ng something extra? Don't worry dahil today, we're leveling up your snack game with a simple pero classy olive oil balsamic bread dip. Kaya naman, silipin na natin kung paano gawin yan dito lang sa Healthy Bites.
Thank you, Nina. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. I'm Chef Philip at ngayong araw gagawa tayo ng easy, healthy recipe na swak for the whole family. At ito ang olive oil balsamic bread dip. Tara, gawin natin. Ito ang mga ingredients natin para sa ating olive oil balsamic bread dip. So, meron tayong extra virgin olive oil. Pwede naman kayo gumamit ng any high-grade oil tulad ng palm oil or vegetable oil. Pero right now, ito ang gagamitin natin, yung olive oil. So, pour natin dito siya sa ating mixing plate. And then next, we have ang ating balsamic vinegar na magbibigay siya ng konting sour flavor sa ating dip. So, konti-konti lang ang gamit. Hindi naman kailangang gamitin lahat ng nandito sa bowl. Kailangan lang magkaroon lang siya ng konting mark sa ating olive oil. And next, meron tayong fresh garlic. Usually, gumagamit tayo ng garlic for garlic bread. Pero ngayon, ilalagay natin siya sa dip. So, lagay lang natin siya sa isang side. Yan. Para ma-differentiate natin yung different ingredients na ginagamit natin. Next, we have our parsley para meron tayong herb na ilalagay. So, kung para sa mga mahihilig sa herbs, this would be the perfect herb or plant para ilagay dito sa ating dip. So, sa another side. And then, we have some thyme. Okay, itong thyme natin, magbibigay siya ng konting earthy flavor, konting aroma, para naman hindi nakakaumay ang ating dip. And then we have our chili flakes. Chili flakes, like all our other ingredients, are easily available sa ating favorite na grocery store. So madali lang naman makabili. So for people na may gusto ng konting spice, may konting kick sa kinakain nila, ito yung perfect. So konti-konti lang din yung lagay para hindi naman masyadong overpowering yung spice. Next, we have some Parmesan cheese. Ito magbibigay ng added salty flavor at ng added body sa ating bread dip. Yan. And then, cream cheese para sa mga mahihilig sa keso. Idadagdag natin siya sa Parmesan para lalong mas rich, mas malinamnam ang ating bread dip. So for me, maglalagay lang ako ng 2 cuts para hindi masyadong matapang. And then lastly, meron tayong konting salt. Kasi although meron na tayong Parmesan and meron tayong cream cheese, yung salt ang magdadagdag ng flavor sa ating dip. So sprinkle lang tayo ng konti all around. So this is our olive oil and balsamic bread dip. So pwede siyang gamitin for any kind of bread, imported or local, mapapandesal, tasty, or whatever bread na kailangan or meron kayo sa bahay. Right now, meron tayo ditong pandesal. So we're gonna use this para i-mix yung dip natin and para matikman din yung ating olive oil balsamic bread dip. So ganito lang siya. I-mix lang natin siya magkakasama para makuha natin yung combined flavor ng lahat ng ingredients na nilagay natin. So make sure na nakamix lahat properly. Upon sa paggawa po, pwede naman po ito gawing appetizer, pwede siyang gawing afternoon snack. Actually, ideal din siyang gawing breakfast, lalo na on an empty stomach because of the properties ng olive oil and ng garlic. So, ito na tayo. Tikman natin. Ang sarap. At ito na po ang ating olive oil balsamic bread dip. Siguradong makatulong ito sa inyo. Again, I'm Chef Philip. Back to you, Nina.
Up next sa Fit Zone, mga madadaling weight exercise naman ang ituturo sa atin ng ating guest coach na pwedeng gawin kahit nasa bahay lang. Sa pagbabalik yan ng programang top priority ang kalusugan ng pamilyang Pilipino. Health at Home.
Calling all young, independent, and professional creators. Great news! Cinebata 2025 is extending its deadline. You now have more time to submit your short videos, animations, or documentaries that reflect this year's theme, the magic of peace. Extended deadline for submission of entries is on July 25, 2025. No registration fees required. For details, visit or contact the following.
PTV Consumer Watch, bantay presyo sa gasolina. Unang ginamit ang katagang State of the Nation sa 1935 Constitution kung saan inatasan ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas na i-report sa Kongreso ang State of the Nation. Kasunod nito, ginamit ni dating Pangulong Manuel Rojas ang Message on the State of the Nation bilang pamagat ng kanyang talumpati sa Kongreso noong January 27, 1947. Bagamat hindi nila inilagay sa 1987 Constitution ang katagang State of the Nation, ang paggamit nito ay itinuturing ng tradisyon sa kasaysayan ng politika sa bansa. Abangan ang ika-4 na State of the Nation Address ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ngayong Hulyo dito sa inyong PTV.
Busy ka ba sa work at wala kang time mag-gym? Relax dahil hindi mo na kailangang lumabas pa para maging fit. Pwede ka nang mag-exercise kahit nasa bahay lang. Madali, mabilis, at swak sa schedule mo. Kaya naman, let's get moving dito lang sa Fit Zone.
Thank you, Nina. Good morning. I'm Coach Byron and today ay may tuturo ako sa inyong workout. Ito yung chair push-ups. Tara, let's start. So for this exercise, gagamit lang tayo ng 2 upuan. And ganito gagawin natin position. And then start tayo ng push-up for 10 to 12 reps for 3 sets. Ayan, para mapalakas yung ating chest and upper body. Second exercise natin, and tawag natin dito is rowing exercise for the back and upper body exercise pa rin siya. So gamit lang tayo ng upuan, and then kung meron kayong mineral bottle sa bahay or galon, ito yung pwede natin gamitin exercise. So position lang natin yung ganito, katawan natin sa ganito, then chest up, hawak lang yung mineral bottle, then pull. Yan, gawin lang natin siya for 10 to 12 reps and 3 sets. Then another exercise na pwede natin gawin is for lower body exercise naman tayo. And body weight squats. Okay? So ganito lang siya. Yan, chest up, then push lang yung hips papunta sa likod or upo lang tayo para mas ma-maximize natin yung strength natin dito sa legs. Yan. Then pag na-progress natin yan, pwede tayong mag-add ng weights. Okay? So itong galon, pwede natin gamitin pang dagdag na bigat sa upper body natin para magkaroon tayo ng intensity sa workout na to. Okay, so ganito. Yan, squat. Pwede natin ulit siya gawin ng 10 to 12 reps for 3 sets. And the next exercise is overhead press. Okay, so pwede pa rin tayo gumamit ng galon. Then ang gagawin natin is focus tayo sa vertical pushing. Okay, so yan, position lang natin yung elbows natin, baba, then press lang pataas. Yan. Okay, so gawin lang natin siya ng 10 to 12 reps ulit for 3 sets. Yan. And then for more functional exercise naman, yan, using bottled water pa rin, ang gagawin natin is kettlebell swings. So split lang natin yung legs natin, distance, shoulder, distance apart lang siya. Then, yung legs, hawak ko yung mineral bottle, hike pass, then swing, papunta sa harap. Yan. Okay, more focus siya sa posterior muscle chain natin, yung lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. Okay, then kasama na rin dyan yung core kasi during execution nito, ini-engage natin yung core. Then, for our last exercise, pwede tayong body weight lang. Yan. Ang tawag natin dito is burpees. Okay, so start tayo sa baba. Lapa. Squat position, then jump. Yan, lapa. Squat position, then jump. So, gawin natin ulit yan ng 10 to 12 reps for 3 sets. And that's it. See, kayang-kaya nito gawin sa inyong bahay. Again, I am Coach Byron. Back to you, Nina.
Abangan mamaya sa #FamBam. Isang food park na merong Japanese vibes na swak sa buong pamilya naman ang bibisitahin natin. Sa pagbabalik yan ng programang number 1 ang kalusugan ng pamilyang Pilipino. Health at Home.
ang masustansyang pagkain ay karapatan ng bawat mamamayang Pilipino. Para sa nutrisyong sapat sa lahat, tandaan, ang healthy diet ay dapat nagsisimula sa first 1,000 days of life ng bawat bata. Bumili ng mga napapanahong gulay at prutas o magtanim ng mga ito sa sariling bakuran. Piliin ang mga lokal na produkto. Iwasang mag-aksaya ng pagkain. Buy, store, and consume food wisely. At ipaglaban ang mga pulisiyang pangnutrisyon para sa lahat. Sapat na pagkain, karapatan natin. Isang mensahe ngayong pambansang buwan ng nutrisyon. Mula sa PTV.
Bilang paggunita sa buwan ng kalayaan, malugod kong binabalita na ang maaram ay mapapanood sa PTV4. Ito po'y para sa ating mga guro at mag-aaral at lahat ng Pilipinong naghahangad na mapalalim ang kaalaman sa katutubong kultura. Ito po si Loren Legarda, nagpupugay sa lahat ng mga maaram sa malayang Pilipinas.
Kung trip nyo ang Japan feels pero walang budget for airfare, perfect sa inyo ang food park na located lang sa Pasay City. Dahil dito sa bawat sulok may Japanese vibes mula sa lanterns hanggang sa authentic ramen at sushi na swak sa panlasa ng buong pamilya. Kaya naman tara, puntahan na natin yan dito sa #FamBam. Isa ba sa bucket list mo ang makarating sa Japan? Isa rin ba ito sa travel goal ng buong pamilya? Hindi na kayo lalayo dahil may ala Japan vibes kaming nadiskubre na tsak kayo ay masasatisfy sa kultura at mga pagkaing authentic na talaga namang busog sarap. Dito sa Pasay City, matatagpuan ng isang food destination na swak sa mga pagkain mula sa bansang Japan. Bukod sa kanilang food business, attraction din ito sa mata ng mga Pilipino. Dahil ipaparamdam nila sa inyo na para kang nasa Japan. Mayroon silang yukata na pwede niyong suotin. May mga lanterns din sila. Ang loob naman nito ay puro warm yellow lights. Mararamdaman mo ang bansang Japan. At sinamahan pa ito ng mga display attractions hango sa kanilang mga palabas tulad ng anime. Pagkain ang pag-uusapan, tiyak na hindi ka mabibitin dahil siksik ang kanilang serving, swak sa budget at authentic ang kanilang pagkain tulad na lamang ng hot pot, cheesecake at iba't ibang klase ng ramen. Bukas ito araw-araw para sa mga nagnanais bumisita at mag-dine-in. Nabusog ka ba sa iyong napanood? Hindi mo na kailangan ng visa para bisitahin ang Japan. Yayain na ang barkada at buong pamilya para ma-experience ang Japan sa Pasay. Kaya tara na mga ka-FamBam. At dito na po nagtatapos ang ating episode ngayong araw. Salamat sa pagtutok, healthy homies, and always remember, keep taking care of yourselves kasi ang healthy lifestyle, lifelong investment yan. Ako po si Nina Corpuz Rodriguez, isang wifey at mommy, ang kasangganyo sa mga napapanahong isyong pangkalusugan. At ito ang Health at Hope.